Cristina.
My name is Callum, and I will be reading the part of James. Education is the most powerful weapon one can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela.
I don't care to belong to any club that will have me as a member. Groucho Marx.
The Scholarship.
A protest play by Brunt Poetry and Lady Godiva.
This play is inspired by Black Lives Matter and Rhodes Must Fall.
This is not a cancellation, it is a reckoning.
A confrontation of past, present, and future.
And also a bit of satire.
Yeah, let's do it.
And our number one goal?
To change the name.
Who is ready to present?
Me.
Come on up to the board, James. What is your presentation about?
Cecil Rhodes, and no, he has nothing to do with Rocky Road ice cream, as I had hoped.
Really? Wow. Very brave, very difficult history.
Professor Mapondi's class on imperialism in Africa inspired.
Nice. Well, you have the floor.
Hey, I'm going to start with some facts about Cecil, and then I'm going to share this play that I wrote about his scholarship. Cool teach?
Definitely. I'm excited you're bringing your theater major to our world history class.
So, I want to start with my research. Cecil Rhodes is the subject of over 30 biographies. Metro only has one, so I looked at that one and another about Africa. I also read a bunch of primary sources because I know Professor Bejan loves that. Then I did some oral history at conducting interviews, which I also know she is obsessed with.
Very thorough, James.
First, his bio. Cecil Rhodes, who lived from 1853 to 1902, was known as the founder. He was the governor of Cape Colony in southern Africa. He made a fortune from his diamond company, and he colonized all of southern America. He fought in a bunch of wars with the Afrikaners, who were Dutch settlers, basically farmers, and black Africans, and more. He was also involved in the Second Boer War, which had the first concentration camps, which I found interesting. 40 years before the Nazis. He also suffered illness. He had asthma growing up and heart problems his whole life, which is why he died so young. He was also LGBTQ+. Well, anyway, I'm not sure if it is a rumor or what, because people seem to be upset about calling him that, but he might have been in love with his male secretary, which would have been nice to have that companionship, because he never married. His biographer, Philip Ziegler, wrote, Cecil John Rhodes would have relished the comparison with Julius Caesar, and historian Lawrence James describes him as instinctively acquisitive. Now, let that sink in. Instinctively acquisitive. Rhodes also wanted to build a north-south railroad from Egypt to Cape, but never succeeded.
Didn't know about the railroad part. You know when that next happened in history? The Medniger, a railroad that started to be built by fascist France, answering to Hitler in World War II.
Whoa, that's scary.
No. Okay, carry on.
Two disturbing quotations from Cecil's 1877 Confession of the Faith, a rich primary source. I contend that we are the finest race in the world, and that the more of the world we inhabit, the better for the human race. Just fancy that those parts are at present inhabited by the most despicable specimens of human beings. What an alteration there would be if they were brought under Anglo-Saxon influence. Africa is still lying ready for us. It is our duty to take it. It is our duty to seize every opportunity of acquiring more territory. And we should keep this one idea steadily before our eyes, that the more territory simply means more of the Anglo-Saxon race, more of the best, the most human, most honorable race the world possesses. Yeah, those quotes don't make our man Cecil look that great, if I'm going to be honest.
Right.
Key concepts of my project. The impulse. the idea, civilizing mission, Rhodesian spirit, moral crusade, white man's burden, hierarchy, imperialism, capitalism, diamonds, De Beers, paternalism, patriarchy, world domination in the name of the British Empire. But actually, Cecil hated London and the Queen. He wanted a British business empire of his own design, with his contracts. Black Africans must learn to be subservient. This way there will be world peace. Killing lots of black Africans, pushing black Africans off their ancestral land and selling that land to white settler farmers. Give black Africans the right to vote, but require land ownership to qualify. Oh wait, yeah, Cecil just took their land. Asshole. An exceptional asshole in Africa. Put on a gentleman's face at Parliament in London. First, he wanted to create a secret society for white British men to run the world, but then, by the end of his life, he settled on the Rhodes Scholarship. A secret society kind of in its own right. Same ambition though, creating a global elite in Cecil's image. Prestige, power, perceived power, not real power. Career ambition, career building ambition. Competition, stress, global empire of the white British race. Let's render wars impossible. Let's promote the best interests of humanity.
Something for us all to think about is this concept of world government that Rhodes proposed. Do we have it today with the United Nations? Are we still headed towards world government with nationalism on the rise everywhere? Just some ideas we'll return to as a class. James, please.
While I was researching, I became really intrigued with his scholarship. He got the idea of being a student, just like we are here. He studied at the University of Oxford in England, which is in the United Kingdom, and he wanted to provide scholarships for students to go to college. It all sounds good, right? I mean, student loans are a bitch. But during this project, I learned that it was a bit more complicated. Today's definition of the Rhodes Scholarship from the Rhodes Trust website. The Rhodes Scholarship is the oldest, first awarded in 1902, and perhaps most prestigious international scholarship program, enabling outstanding young people from around the world to study at the University of Oxford. When it started, Cecil wanted to promote students in his image. It was all about white male misogyny and supremacy. The scholarship was first set up only for young white men from all of the British colonies, Germany, because he liked the country, and the United States of America, because, honestly, I think he dreamed of reincorporating it into the empire. In all his writings, he's complaining non-stop about how Great Britain losing the American colonies over 100 years ago is the worst thing that has ever happened, ever. Like, I feel like he's lacking perspective and priorities on this one.
An interesting historical exercise. Where would we, all of us here at Metro, be if we were still part of the British Empire? I think most of us would agree that the American Revolution was a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. Also, in the reading, it said that American Rhodes scholars are different. I think the implication is that they were less smart, which is funny because lots of Rhodes scholars we know today are American. Famous Rhodes scholars include Bill Clinton, obviously. I know he wasn't the nicest guy, like he pretended. Other famous scholars are Susan Rice, Rachel Maddow, Cory Booker, and Mayor Pete. An African example I will give is Lucy Banda Siswane. I chose her because she is from Zambia and a human rights activist. You know, a Rhodes scholar who has been in the spotlight this year, who is really cool, is Andy Kim in Congress. He is a Korean-American congressman from New Jersey. He picked up the trash after the insurrection at the Capitol and then made this incredible statement on Twitter about anti-Asian racism he's faced working in government.
Andy is very cool, I agree.
Fun facts about the Rhodes. It has 15 Pulitzer Prize winners, 3 Nobel laureates, 8 Rhodes Scholars, have been head of state, and 3 University of Oxford vice-chancellors. And if you don't win the Rhodes Scholarship, there is always the Marshall, which is basically the Rhodes backup plan. And please, don't let my play deceive that there are really nice Rhodes Scholars out there. There are quiet Rhodes scientists that are exactly 4 years working in the American public schools. And so many are just, well, nerds. And many, if you can believe this, are actual real friends for life, not fake friends.
I feel seen.
And with that, it is time for a theatrical shakedown.
Of what?
Of diamonds, egos, lies, power, and abuse. Yes, and for the audience and historian's sake, this is a chronological play.
Okay, James, looks good.
Curtain up!
Do you have literary and scholastic attainments, fondness and success in manly outdoor sports such as cricket?
Sports! Cricket,
football, and the like? The Rhodes Scholarship is not looking for merely bookworms. We want qualities of manhood. Manhood, truth, courage, devotion to duty. Duty, sympathy for the protection of the weak, kindliness, unselfishness, and fellowship. Notice I say his, exhibition during school days of moral force of character and of instincts to lead.
Moral force of character, instincts to lead.
And to take an interest in his schoolmates, for those latter attributes will be likely in afterlife to guide him to esteem the performance of public duty as his highest aim.
Public duty! Interested in further details? You can buy The Last Will and Testament of Cecil Rhodes on Amazon for $9.94 paperback and only 99 cents on Kindle. What are you waiting for?
The 20th century was one of great change. A hot take. Fun facts to spit at you. 1. First African-American Rhodes Scholar was Alan Leroy, 1907, which was the 4th class of the scholarship, the architect of the Harlem Renaissance. But no one knew he was black until he got to Oxford. 2. It took like 50 to 60 years for another African-American scholar to be selected. 3. Scholarship expansion did begin during this century to countries not initially specified in Cecil's will. 4. The Rhodes Scholarship began to accept women in 1977. About time, right?
You done already?
Yeah, I'm done.
The way people look at history is they see all these old people from the past as the greatest beings on earth, when a few have some of the worst past in history. But I know some of you love your historical leaders. I just feel really comfortable around Christopher Columbus. He makes me feel all warm and cozy inside, just like Cecil, said no one ever. In this world, everything is about perspective. Even something as simple as a conversation between a professor and their student.
Hey, Sid, have you had any time to find any scholarships to apply for?
It's been pretty hard, honestly. There are so many postgraduate applications, and I really need funding if I want to go to grad school.
Well, have you heard of the Rhodes Scholarship?
Who? That sounds fancy as hell.
The Rhodes Scholarship is the oldest, first awarded in 1902, and perhaps most prestigious international scholarship program, enabling outstanding young people from around the world to study at the University of Oxford. It is an amazing opportunity that will change your life for the best! Your life will never be the same.
Well, if it's really going to help my life, then I will apply. Hope this transforms my life into one worth living.
Just you wait. But on the other side is a different situation.
Hey Sid, what you up to over there?
I'm working on my Rhodes application.
Excuse me, what do you say?
The Rhodes Scholarship?
That's what I thought you said. Do you know who that man was? Are you sure you want to take his money?
Maybe. I just assumed he was some rich guy who wanted to give back to the people.
Oh, he was rich, all right. Rich in racism. The next 3 scenes show that not all Rhodes Scholars are the same.
Some students need the scholarship, others don't.
I'm the first generation in college and a first generation American in my family from Ghana. We don't have a lot, and things tend to be a struggle, so I need the scholarship. Not just to help me, but for my family as well.
So, this is like my 3rd time applying for the Rhodes, and I finally got it. Oh, you know, you can apply until you're 24, so I just did some freelance journalism. Medium qualifies as the news, right? Well, I had one op-ed in the New York Times. I don't know what my mom did to get it published in there, but I'm not complaining. I'm sure it helped me win the Rhodes, and it'll have me up on Google forever. And I had an unpaid internship near campus for the past 2 years, so I could still work closely with Yale's fellowship office. See, my parents promised me that if I won the Rhodes, they'd give me my grandpa's estate. He's 94 right now, so I won it just in time, right?
Some save money, others don't.
Someone, well, an American scholar, recently complained that their Rhodes stipend wasn't enough to cover their monthly expenses. I don't get it. I'm American too, and I'm making it work. I also got a nanny gig to fund weekend trips to Europe with friends. Like, we just went to Prague, and it was amazing. And my closest Rhodes friend, Priya, she's a scholar from Delhi. She and others too, you know, they save money from the stipend and send it back home to their families. Why are other Americans always making us look bad overseas? I am never gonna lie and say that I'm Canadian like everyone else does, but this kind of thing really makes me sad.
Bro, I have so much cash, I fought for my country, so not only am I getting a check from the military, but also my Rhodes. Strip club in London, anyone? Hoorah!
Some earn 3rd-year funding for the PhD, and some peace out Bill Clinton style with none. Oh, and wait, there is a 3rd category if you are as lazy as Bill Clinton, but you need to prove you got a degree, and that is the Master's in Economic and Social History. Easy to get into, easy to knock out, and no one asks questions later. And a 4th option for the really, really recent Rhodes Scholars, whatever you propose to study, make sure that the 2 words social justice are part of your reasoning.
I applied for my 3rd-year funding because I needed to get my DPhil to make my dreams in zoology come true, to save the Glaucus macaque from going extinct. I've been so stressed out and not been able to sleep thinking if they deny my request. What am I going to do? Is this it? Is this all there is for me? Whew. But luckily, I woke up from my nightmares and I was approved.
Why would I need a degree when the name Rhodes on my resume is what matters? I'm starting at Harvard Law in the fall, and we'll spend some time at State and the current White House administration, then go to New York City to work in philanthropy for a minute, then back to DC to work in the newest White House administration. Oh, and in between, I can co-author a book with a much more senior colleague, scholar, who did all the hard part of coming up with the idea and writing it. I'm more of a copy editor. This wasn't a gendered experience or anything. But this way, I can claim to be a published author too. And I hired some guy in India to put me on Wikipedia. See? I didn't need a master's degree to do all that.
Welcome back to another day in the Rhodes house. Oh, Rebecca!
Rebecca walks right past Nigel from Jamaica when he tries to say hi to her. She completely ignores him and calls out to Patrick in the distance. Patrick! Patrick, I just heard you were elected MCR president of Balliol. That is so amazing! Your first political appointment!
So I am going to give a recap of this pretty common ghosting experience. Needless to say, both Rebecca and Patrick are American and, yes, white. And I am just a guy from Jamaica, one of Britain's smaller and, yes, black former colonies.
The journey continues. We are now in London at a McKinsey recruitment happy hour.
So what exactly is management consulting?
I don't really know, but I heard it's a really good way to make some money to launch your political career.
Really?
Yeah, so many roadies have done it.
I thought everyone just went to Yale or Harvard Law for this.
It's not mutually exclusive.
You know, Sarah from Utah says she wants to be a dentist.
Huh. After 2 years of eating chips and cheese from the kebab van, that will never happen.
Okay, so what am I supposed to do when this happy hour is over?
Be sure to get their business card and send them a follow-up email.
One scholar's last engagement on Rhodes list out.
At that point, I believed that the Rhodes Scholarship supported democracy, liberal values, that was the only good thing to come out of British imperialism. This moment made that vision crash down and shatter. Once you are a Rhodes Scholar, you automatically join the Rhodes email listserv. It sends out everything from apartment rentals to job announcements. Within the past decade, it was the Obama years, and I was living in Washington, D.C., a very different message was sent out. An email about offering the scholarship to the People's Republic of China. I immediately bristled. I still naively thought that fighting the world's fight was about freedom and democracy. How wrong I was. This was the moment when the Rhodes Trust, out of financial desperation, expanded the scholarship to non-democratic countries. I sent a reply all, asking if the sender knew of a long list of names of Chinese human rights activists who were in prison in China, or simply disappeared. I got quite a few responses in support of me. Many were from other scholars with Eastern European roots. I even started a petition with everybody's names, but the dark depths of the Rhodes listserv soon engulfed me in dimensions of hate I had not yet encountered in my life. As I attempted to explain what the crimes against humanity committed in the name of totalitarian communism looked like in the case that I know personally, I was told that China is not Romania. I was told in many reply all.
Not all communism is the same.
I was called a
racist,
and a
Nazi,
and an
American.
After this extensive online bullying, harassment, and hate, I gave up. I never wrote on the Rhodes listserv again. I ultimately left the listserv entirely. I terminated the petition. I let the People's Republic and its global supporters win.
It's very telling how Rhodes scholars treat each other, isn't it? This Rhodes Must Fall movement, now known simply as RMF, was founded at the University of Cape Town, South Africa in 2015. The students mobilized for the removal of the statue of Cecil Rhodes, who was the founder of the university, also the founder of the scholarship this play is about, but if that's not clear to you by now, you clearly haven't been paying attention. RMF was successful. The statue was removed. The movement turned their attention to the statue of Cecil Rhodes, permanently displayed on High Street in Oxford, sitting atop the college that is so proud to call him an alum. Oriel College, founded in 1326. In 2015, we protested throughout Oxford. We pleaded with Oriel to take the statue down. This is what they said.
We've considered your request and come to a decision that we cannot possibly remove the statue of Cecil Rhodes because Oriel College is a listed building.
We asked Oriel to define that term, listed building.
A listed building is one that is on the National Heritage List for England. In order to get on that list, the building must have special historic interest that is considered to be of national importance and therefore worth protecting.
So the answer is no, then.
Correct. The statue remains.
RMF Oxford didn't give up, of course. Seems like there will be a lot of fruitful dialogue down the line. RMF also turned its attention to the Rhodes House, the other prominent structure bearing Rhodes' name in Oxford. we protested in front of Rhodes House too, and just as when we protested in front of Oriel, no one came out to meet us in a symbolic gesture of solidarity. Hi, is this Rhodes House? This is James Blunt on the line, and I'm currently conducting some research on the Rhodes Scholarship for a class project.
Well, hello there, Mr. Brunt. How can I help?
Well, I know that the Rhodes is really interested in giving back to the community, and I was just wondering, what local charities do you work with in Oxford? This is a part of my presentation to show that even though Cecil Rhodes did some horrible things, now local efforts are being made. And since you are in Oxford, I was thinking about Homeless Oxfordshire, or the Oxford Food Bank, or the Oxfordshire Community Foundation. This is what I found on Google.
Thank you, Mr. Brunt. I'm so sorry to tell you that we're not interested in local issues. Right now, we're really focused on the next expansion and therefore diversification of the scholarship. China down, more to go. We're going to move into Israel. More countries in the Middle East, East and West Africa. Brazil is even on the horizon. You name it, we will cover it. Oh, and how could I forget the 2 new at-large scholarships, so any student from anywhere in the world can apply.
Is the Rhodes Scholarship for you? Have you ever felt like you were supposed to do something great, extraordinary, something so good it makes you create your own website to brag about yourself? In 2018, we have revised requirements replacing the outdated ones of the global white supremacist patriarchy. We've responded to the social justice call. Now we're looking for literary and scholastic attainments.
Literary, scholastic.
Energy to use one's talents to the full.
Energy, talents.
Truth, courage, devotion to duty, sympathy, and for protection of the weak, kindliness, usefulness, and fellowship.
Courage, duty, the weak, fellowship.
And the one big one that you all know by now, moral force of character and instincts to lead, and to take an interest in one's fellow beings.
Moral force of character, instincts to lead.
Well, I have the place for you, so apply. Do you have the qualities to work on and support entrepreneurship? You work for yourself. Finance, investment. You take $1, then you put it somewhere else. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like the makings of a leader right there. According to the latest Rhodes Scholar Survey, scholars are supposed to care about education, politics, good governance, healthcare, human rights, humanities, LGBTQ+ issues, leadership, racial equality and anti-racism, religion and interfaithful issues, science and technology, social justice, women's issues. Side effects include an urgence to change. Apply now! You won't regret it!
Hi there. You know, my granddaughter is a Rhodes Scholar, and well, she lives with me here in Maryland. We have a grand old time. On Monday, she had some Rhodes friends over for a dinner, and everyone had to go around on the back patio and say what their Rhodes dream was. Anyway, it finally got around the table, and it was my turn. I looked around, kind of embarrassed, and I said, I don't know what you all are talking about. I left college to get married. Everyone was silent after that. Oh, well, my granddaughter later told me that I had the best answer of everybody. That my answer was about happiness. And Rhodes Scholars are never happy. I told her whatever. I was just happy she had friends over and ordered Geppetto's pizza. Pepperoni's my favorite. This scene is how we feel a Rhodes interview for James might go right now in 2022. It is 100% hypothetical based on some facts relevant to the aim of this play, which is to change the name of the Rhodes Scholarship. Hi there, James. I'm the State Secretary of Colorado, chairing your Rhodes interview today.
Nice to meet you.
We'll start off with a question we're asking everyone it applies to. Why is your Twitter on private?
I'm still in college. Obviously, I don't want my Twitter public on Google.
So what do you have to hide then?
Oh, no, it's not like that. See, I'm involved with a lot of advocacy work on campus. My followers are all at school. That's how we organize, through Twitter.
So you organize in secret. You see, I'm asking you this because we committee members first look at these platforms to see your, presence. With a private account, well, to us it doesn't look like you have any.
I'm sorry?
Next question is a bit of a personal one. Given that you are from Denver, do you know Condoleezza Rice? She and I go way back, every New Year's at Aspen. And my son studied with her at Stanford.
Okay, that's nice. No, I do not know her.
I mean, obviously, I don't have to tell you who she is. We're here together in this Rhodes space, aren't we?
I guess.
So, what is your oppression and overcoming story, in a nutshell? We're shorter on time than we used to be because of putting all these interviews on Zoom. Oh, the good old days when you could sit in some famous alum's conference room and talk in person.
I'm a black man in America.
Would you care to elaborate? Like exactly how you have been oppressed and overcome? Your story.
Oh, so my life's just a story to you?
Oppression, overcoming, go.
I'm the first in my family to go to college. I've had a job ever since I can remember. I still live in a state that is still kind of run by the KKK.
That'll do. So, did you create your nonprofit to make you look good or to do good? It's okay if you made it to make you look good. We just need to know that it still exists. Looks like the website is no longer active. Again, it's the web presence that matters so much. Like I mentioned earlier with your underwhelming Twitter account.
It still exists. I've been busy applying for the scholarship and I have a job at school, so keeping the website live has not been the priority. I'm so sorry. Thank you for letting me know.
No problem. Like I said, it's totally fine. Just wanted to make sure that it still exists, if you understand. What is the charity for, again?
It's a program where we collect books and we send them to communities in need.
Oh, that's great. Where exactly?
Well, we're local now, so Colorado.
I see. We have to move on with the interview, but going forward kind of advice, think bigger. National. International. Sending books to Africa, for example. That kind of scope. It'll never hurt you. How does the Rhodes Scholarship fit into your life plan?
I need this scholarship because I really need a postgraduate degree to get a good job and raise my family here in Denver. I just don't have the resources to fund my own postgraduate studies right now. And Oxford being the best university, I would love studying in the Bodleian Library and having drinks with my friend at the legendary King's Arm pub to discuss ideas.
It's like you're not listening. So, what are you most scared of?
Spiders, they totally freak me out.
Incorrect answer. The right answer is climate change. But at Oxford, there is always room for learning. Final question. Do you identify in any way as trans or LGBTQIA+ or gender nonconforming?
I would say I'm an ally.
But you don't personally identify with any of those marginalized groups.
Are you really asking me this? Is this legal?
We are doing our very best to diversify the scholarship, Mr. Brunt.
Yeah, I understand that.
So we do whatever it takes to achieve that aim. Related follow-up. What is your immigration status?
Immigration status? I am from Denver. These questions don't seem to have much to do with my studies.
Excuse me, it's a shame you didn't confirm. Now, do you have any questions for us?
Why didn't you ask me about the being a good student that the scholarship cares about?
We already know you are. Every applicant who got to this stage is. The scholarship is based on merit.
Okay, so if you guys want to be on the right side of history after BLM and RNF and all that, why won't you change the name?
Back at Rhodes House, dealing with the inevitable fallout of George Floyd's death, the Rhodes Trust writes their own Black Lives Matter statement entitled, Hashtag Black Lives Matter, Racism, and Legacy. Here are some direct quotations with James providing a reasonable response to each. We acknowledge that racism has played a significant role in the history of the Rhodes Scholarships. Yes, we have moved beyond our racist and sexist past in important ways, but we know that much more is required. We embrace the journey ahead and invite our global scholar community to join us in shaping it.
So change the name.
Many elements of Rhodes' original vision for the scholarships were wrong and are obsolete. We reject his vision of educating young men to carry out a civilizing mission because of the imperialist, racist, and sexist assumptions underlying its notion of civilization.
So change the name.
Today, we are immensely proud that black scholars of African descent from Africa, the Caribbean, and North America comprise 20% of recent cohorts, and that over half of scholars in residence are people of color, making our scholar community more truly reflective of the world.
So change the name.
We have incorporated workshops on Cecil Rhodes' legacy and on decolonizing the mind as part of our annual orientation for new scholars, thanks to leadership from current scholars, including members of the 2015 Rhodes Must Fall movement.
So change the name.
We have developed a signature character, service, and leadership program for all scholars that engages deeply with questions of justice and equity.
So change the name.
We will raise funds to endow more African Rhodes Scholarships with an initial focus on expanding the number awarded in our new West and East African constituencies, followed by expansion into North Africa. Our long-term goal is to have 32 Rhodes Scholarships awarded every year in perpetuity to students from the African continent, equal to the number of Rhodes allocated to our largest constituency, the United States.
So change the name. Yeah, so like the US can fit into Africa 3 times?
James, the Rhodes Trust is looking for artists. The BLM statement says that they're working with historians, artists, current and alumni scholars.
Aren't you a historian and an artist alone?
Oh, I can't say my feelings are hurt. You know, the most bizarre part of their BLM statement is the closing reflections and call to action part. Do you mind reading this one, James?
Sure.
So it starts. As one black scholar from our class of 2020 put it,
it is important for me to affirm openly, as many of the Rhodes Scholars have also done, that this scholarship does not buy my silence. On the contrary, it was paid for in my ancestors' blood. I pledge to continue to honor them, God, my community, and those who have supported me in making use of whatever tools and benefits may come from it. All I can ask is that I be judged not by what opportunities I am given, but how I use them instead.
Opportunities given? What about opportunities earned? Is the Rhodes Scholarship a retribution gift?
Right. All I gotta say
Change the name.
So change the goddamn name! Why is that so hard to get rid of a name that has literally done nothing but caused pain?
Oh, the mail just came. My favorite kind of reading. You think the competition with your peers ends once you've won the greatest scholarship in the world? Think again. Even after you leave Oxford, you get to compete with your Rhodes classmates for the rest of your life. It's all in the alumni updates that are solicited each year for the American Oxonian magazine.
BLM was founded in 2013, but really emerged on the American national scene following the death of Michael Brown in 2014. Following George Floyd's death in 2020, the movement has gone international and in many ways inspired Rhodes Must Fall. Right now, we are in downtown Denver at the Capitol protesting in summer 2020.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Fight the world's fights. That was awkward, James. Denver is on fire.
Cristina, the whole country is on fire. Actually, the whole world is on fire. It's been on fire since 2019.
Wow, James, that's very specific. How do you know that date?
Well, since 1619, Ashleigh, and see, we had this amazing professor visit our history class in college, and I also just know, and you should too.
Truth.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace. Here we are in Oxford in the present COVID-ravaged day. James and I represent two current scholars. James will perform the role of Max from Philadelphia, and me, Jezebel, from Cape Town. Apologies in advance if my accent offends. Both are here to share how they stand in solidarity with BLM and RMF, but ultimately do not want to change the name.
So, I'm pretty sure I won Rhodes because I was a leader in the BLM movement in Philly. I organized a lot of protests, and I totally support the RMF, of course. But change the name? No, my activism stops there, and I will awkwardly not tell you why. Your turn, comrade.
Thanks, comrade. I believe the statue of Cecil Rhodes should definitely be taken down and should be put in a museum. But the name of the scholarship? Why change? So many people still have positive associations with the name. But the Rhodes has made so much progress. We have a woman warden now.
What's the warden?
Like, director of the scholarships.
Cristina is 2022. That should just be normal by now, right? When confronting a Rhodes Scholar who wants to keep the name, you will most likely encounter the Mandela argument.
Nelson Mandela, whose quote started this play.
Precisely. You see, Mandela, the first post-apartheid and first black president of South Africa, and the Rhodes Trust came together in 2003 to found the Mandela Rhodes Foundation, a scholarship to fund African students' study at university in South Africa.
Was this an effort to redress historical wrongs? An olive branch with Black South Africa?
Mandela addressed the question of keeping the Rhodes name, and head on, he said the following. We are sometimes still asked by people how we could agree to have our name joined to that of Cecil John Rhodes in this Mandela Rhodes initiative. To us the answer is easy, and we have explained the logic of our decision on a number of occasions. We have referred to our Constitution's injunction for us to come together across the historical divides, to build our country with a future equally shared by all.
So, Mandela was a bridge between apartheid and now. He had to make a lot of compromise to liberate his country from racists after spending 27 years in prison. Ever heard of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission? Really, one of a kind. Point is, Mandela did what he could.
But those who honor his legacy don't have to continue to make such a compromise. Just drop the name. It will still be the premier scholarship for African students to study in South Africa. It will still be for the next generation of leaders on the continent. Also, I think the Mandela Foundation sounds better, don't you?
But even if we drop Rhodes from MRF, it was partly created with his money. What about that argument? The Rhodes Scholarship is his money.
Barely. The scholarship was about to implode until a Canadian Rhodes Scholar saved it 5 years ago with a multi-billion-dollar donation. And no talk of renaming it after that guy.
But it's the Rhodes brand. The name has cachet.
But don't brands change their name? Wasn't there a clothing brand named Gypsy, and then Roma rights activists told them that the G word is offensive? That brand was willing to listen. They learned and changed the name.
Come on, no. It's a label you can wear the rest of your life. It'll open doors for you. Get you jobs. Get you married well. Get your kids into Ivy League schools. Get you political office. Get you famous. Council on Foreign Relations. NY Times wedding announcements.
Just one word on a resume and all that.
Yes.
I don't believe it. Why can we not change the name? Why is that so hard?
Because people truly believe that having that one word, Rhodes, on their resume will make all their dreams come true.
Money and power? while we are talking about changing the name, what is the status of the statue at Oxford? Since some scholars at least agree to put it in a museum, when will it actually fall?
Doesn't seem like ever. Oriel just put up a plaque contextualizing Cecil Rhodes, so now there are 3 spots in the college dedicated to him. Dan Hicks did an amazing protest tweet about it, and he's an Oxford professor.
Yikes.
A book was just published, though, explaining RMF, the statue, and Cecil's difficult past. It came out this summer.
Really?
The author, Robert Calderisi, himself a Canadian Rhodes Scholar, believes that Rhodes would regard his scholarship and the many more they inspired to be a contribution to humanity.
Does he mean our shared humanity? Here's the truth about education. Changing who you are from the inside out, good in retrospect, but also bad. In fact, you are like us. You are us. You think like us. You act like us. For everything else, you think like a European. Frantz Fanon's words, not mine. For the black scholars, the goal is to produce a humble, subservient, self-hating student. Once a Rhodes Scholar, always a Rhodes Scholar.
And so, what does that even mean? Just words on a resume, a status symbol, just a label that actually gets you nowhere?
A badge of privilege, signaling you've made it? Your life is going to be great now. But that's the thing, there is no guarantee.
Shit happens. People hate you for it. The scarlet R. You get sick and you're out of the game for a while.
You get uncomfortable being nice to people that you know are not nice. You refuse to network. You feel slimy and gross. Like, which Rhodes Scholars are going to care about this place? Nobody. Preserving the label, the brand, whatever, at all costs. Since everyone's wearing the same label, they must not publicly share any of these truths, right? Pretend they're a secret society. Gotta act like they're all in harmony, changing the world for the better. Due to one man's difficult legacy and under this shared umbrella, his name.
So, it's so hard to do the right thing and change the name. Here's the mic drop mega list of examples where the precedent is already set. It's not just statues, monuments, and plaques that are symbols. Names are symbols too. This is complete with rich quotations and plenty of examples.
Stapleton, Colorado. Wilson Center at Princeton University. Redskins now Washington's football team.
On June 9, 2020, London Mayor Sadiq Khan announced a commission to examine the future of landmarks around the capital, including murals, street art, street names, and statues.
BLM protesters in Bristol pulled down the statue of 17th century slave trader Edward Colston.
As Taylor Swift tweeted, taking down statues isn't going to fix centuries of systemic oppression, violence, and hatred that Black people have had to endure, but it might bring us one small step closer to making all Tennesseans and visitors to our state feel safe.
Or we could be whisked away to Jacksonville, Florida. Mayor Lenny Curry says it so well. If our history prevents us from reaching the full potential of our future, then we need to take action to ensure we acknowledge our past in a full and complete way, a way forward that no person's heritage or experience behind.
And what about Christopher Columbus, who makes you feel so comfortable, James?
His statue came down at the Minnesota State Capitol on a bird park in Richmond, Virginia, and more. And protesters tried to bring it down in Denver.
So many Confederate statues have come down following George Floyd's death.
Decatur, Georgia's Confederate obelisk will be replaced by a statue of John Lewis.
General Stonewall Jackson and Jefferson Davis in Richmond, Johnny Reb in Norfolk, Portsmouth's Confederate Monument, statue of Confederate soldier named Appomattox in Alexandria, all in Virginia.
And it's not just Confederate statues and monuments.
For example, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill announced that the school wants your help to rename 3 campus buildings that once honored white supremacists.
And hello, Zimbabwe is no longer Southern Rhodesia, and Zambia is no longer Northern Rhodesia. I would like
to end my investigation with a couple of quotes from people that I believe are really a call to action for us all to confront humanity's difficult past, as was the case with Cecil Rhodes, and create a better future. Be the change you want to see in the world. Gandhi. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Desmond Tutu. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
James, your class presentation was excellent. Through use of primary sources and oral history, and you're a natural performer, you know, you're really emerging as the best student in the class.
Thanks, teacher. I feel like history major might be for me, so long as it's a double major that with theater.
You know, the Rhodes might be something to consider down the line. Metro has never had one.
Maybe.
Change rarely comes from the top. Revolution comes from the people, you know. You could be part of the change.
And how does that work for you?
It's brought a lot of heartache, to be honest.
The current name holds a lot of pain.
So, let's find a name we can celebrate, or simply call the most famous scholarship in the world.
The scholarship.
So we'll take 5 minutes now, comfort break, grab some drinks, and then we'll start our screening of the monologues for Ukraine. Thank you so much.